The Yankees definitely have some turnover heading into next season.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granado. Steve, how are we feeling today?
Oh, we're still here. We're still here. That's how it is. Thanks for asking, and thanks for clicking on the show here today, guys. We are still getting over a little bit of sickness, but we're still here for you. Of course, coming up on today's show, we wanted to talk about every move the Yankees have made in December, since it's the last month to make moves, as of recording December 27th. So we're going to go ahead and run through the last transactions of 2023. But of course, Stacey, there was some news on Wednesday.
Yeah.
The IKF era is over officially. Yeah. Even with the small rumors that he could be signing back with New York, it is official. IKF is heading north of the border, a 2-year deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, that got us thinking here today of who will not be back in 2024. But of course, Stacey, IKF, the first of those, your reaction to that?
Good for him. $15 million, 2 years. That's a nice deal for him. I was kind of surprised, but not surprised. I just wasn't expecting much of anything to be done. Like I figured once the Yamamoto stuff happened, there'd be like a break until the new year and nothing else would happen. So I was kind of surprised by that, but should be interesting to see how he does with Toronto and what he does with Toronto. I know they were bummed they couldn't get Ohtani, but hey, they got another two-way player because he can pitch and
yeah, just what they were asking for. The exact same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Not just what he can do there, where.
Right.
I'm curious where he's going to end up playing. Are they going to move him back to third base? Is he going to fill Matt Chapman's shoes? Those are massive shoes to fill. So I'm curious if they're going to slide him back into third base. Are they going to make another move and try and fill that third base spot and then move IKF like how the Yankees did and just kind of keep him perpetually moving? I'm very curious what their plans are for him, at least plan A, because if plan A is to replace Matt Chapman, yeah. But Stacey, I'm also curious. Of course, we wanted to dive into all the position players and all the pitchers who will not be returning in 2024 that appear for the Yankees in 2023. But I'm just curious, when IKF inevitably comes back to Yankee Stadium, when the Yankees meet the Blue Jays in 2024, what will the reception be by the Yankee Stadium crowd? Will there be booing? Will there be cheering? Or will there be a big fat nothing?
I think it'll be lukewarm. I think you'll hear some people cheering and you'll hear some people booing maybe, but it's not going to be like vociferous booing because I think he won over the fans just by doing what he did in 2023 and trying to fill as many roles as he possibly could, to help out the team. I don't think it's going to be anything major. And I think it'll only be for his first at bat. And then after that, they'll boo him because he's a Blue Jay.
Possibly. That's possible. I don't... There's only so much blame you can put on IKF. I've said this 100 times on the show, and I still feel strongly about this in any regard, in pretty much any sport. You try to make a player do something they're not supposed to do, you can only expect so much success. And for what IKF gave you in 2024, yes, it was not good. But, I mean, is a dude playing the outfield who's never played the outfield before. So, I mean, weirdly enough, that was a lot of Yankees in 2023 playing the outfield when they shouldn't have been playing the outfield, which obviously has led into all the moves that they've done, which also leads me to go, I don't know where the talks of him coming back ever came, where they stemmed from. It made no sense to me whatsoever. Why have him back in 2024? You already have a logjam, even with the loss of some of the guys we're going to talk about here in a second. So I thought those rumors were basically just that. I didn't take any of that as real. And lo and behold, here we are. He is a Blue Jay. But of course, Stacey, he, along with 10 other position players will not be returning in 2024 as of this record. Again, is recorded on December the 27th. Of course, these are still, some of these guys are free agents, which could return at some point. I highly doubt it. But of course, some of the ones that sting a little bit harder, Kyle Higashioka, obviously part of the big trade here over the last couple of weeks. So Higgy won't be back. We knew Harrison Bader won't be back either. So those are like the two ones in my head that are like the ones that stick out the most.
Yeah. Yeah. The Higgy thing is interesting just because he's been a Yankee for so long. Like, some people didn't realize how long he had been with the organization. And when it came out during the trade, people were like, wow, I didn't realize he was around that long. He was. He was like a lifelong Yankee. This is a big deal for him to be leaving and going to San Diego. And I wish him the best. But yeah, I mean, as much as I complained about Higgy, he was just such a mainstay that it's going to be weird not seeing him around.
Yeah, sure is. Of course, some others, Stacy, that played middling but did play last season. Jake Bowers will not be returning. He was shifted out in a trade. Willie Calhoun recently signed with the Angels on a minor league contract. Billy McKinney will not be returning, obviously. Josh Donaldson will not be returning, obviously. Aaron Hicks, obviously. Frenchie Cordero will also not be returning for the Yankees next season. Estevan Florial was just traded, of course, as we talked about on yesterday's show. And Greg Allen, don't forget about Greg Allen. He also will not be returning for the Yankees. Again, that's 10 different, or rather 11 different position players. Stacey, which one of these do you think is missing them is going to have the most impact for the Yankees next season?
Out of all of them, or out of all 11? I guess Higgy, right? Out of all of them, because like, when you look at the list, no offense, no offense to the guys on the list, but I'm not going to miss Billy McKinney. I'm not going to miss Frenchie Cordero. Definitely not going to miss Josh Donaldson. No offense to him, but he did nothing as a Yankee. And I was annoyed with that trade when it first happened. So good riddance to you. And, you know, if you're retiring, enjoy retirement. And if you're not, enjoy whoever you're going to be playing with. I think Higgy out of all those guys.
Yeah, I feel like Higgy had the most, obviously, like you mentioned, the staying power. He had been here for so long. And then just let alone his impact behind the plate. We know what a pretty decent catcher he is, a good framer that he is, one of the top framers in Major League Baseball, strangely enough, something that kind of goes unnoticed. But yeah, I mean, Higgy was a big part of this team. He was a steadying presence behind the plate. He was one of those veteran guys behind the plate. And look, he wasn't the most impact with the bat, and we know that, especially in 2023. The Yankees just really did not get that much out of their catchers, but they definitely will miss that. There's going to be a little bit of a lack of veteran presence behind the plate in 2024, especially considering that you might see Austin Wells at some point in 2024 get a legitimate look, at least in theory. That could happen next season. I don't know how much run that's going to get without injuries. But with a Trevino Rortvet backstop next season, you know, you're not in theory improving that much offensively, but you are definitely probably going to be taking a hit defensively, especially when I mentioned, you know, comes to framing, because you haven't had that much out of Ben Rortvet in the major leagues. So you don't know 100% on what a full season of the major league level is going to do for you defensively. So I'm very curious how that's going to play for the Yankees. And if I just could throw my hat in, I think IKF is going to have a little bit of a lull here for the Yankees because of the ability for him to play in multiple positions. The Yankees used him a lot last season, more than anyone probably anticipated. So, you know, you have guys that are very much going to clearly fill that role. You're hoping Oswaldo Cabrera steps into those shoes and does it better. In all likelihood, that is what I would anticipate, at least on the offensive side. I can't imagine that Oswaldo has such a down season like he did last year. But that is something to figure out, that the Yankees just don't have that quote unquote luxury. I know it's IKF, but they don't have that now, right? They kind of have to rely on Oswaldo Cabrera in that role now. So I'm curious to see if he fills those shoes. And if he makes the team out of spring like that. There's a legitimate competition now for another spot that Oswaldo just doesn't have that guaranteed at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out with who makes it into the infield, because no matter what Boone says about certain positions already being taken, I feel like they're still going to be looking at guys in spring training and trying to figure out who they're going to bring with them to New York. and that no one should be counted out. And I think that's one of the things I'm actually looking forward to in spring training, just to see how it's going to shape up, especially infield wise. But yeah, the IKF thing, I mean, he basically played nearly every position, right? Except they didn't have him catch. I think that was one thing he didn't do, but he was pretty much all over the field, including pitching. So, again, Blue Jays they got themselves a player that can play basically anywhere. Maybe they saw that and thought, okay, maybe we could do the same thing with him.
Yeah. Let us know which one you think will have the most impact not being on the Yankees in 2024. Of course, those are 11 of 24 position players from last season. But of course, there were more pitchers who are all likelihood not returning to the Yankees in 2024. We'll get to those in a second. Don't forget, this is your last chance to drop Fan Mail Friday questions down below here on the YouTube side. So reply to that pinned comment. Our Fan Mail Friday episode is tomorrow. So make sure to join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club as well to guarantee answers to your question. The episode description has all the information that you need there, including a 14-day free trial. So go check it out. Okay, 14 pitchers not returning next season. Who are they, and who's going to have the biggest impact next season? That's coming up next.
Score this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've considered joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is a breeze to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and you can also combine prop bets on a game into a single game parlay for even more fun and more chances to win big. Very big. You can win very big. By the way, the Yankees 2024 World Series odds are at plus 850, and they're favored to win the AL at plus 450. And that's without a lot of pitching. So good for them. That would be an interesting bet. Maybe you should do that. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and score big this NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Back now on Locked On Yankees. Again, don't forget, every day is coming up tomorrow. It's Fan Mail Friday, so make sure to reply to that pinned comment here on YouTube. And, of course, you could always text us as well in the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. And for the everydayers out there, make sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming YouTube channel. You could catch some episodes of ours, but you guys are here every day for that anyway. So you might as well check out some other shows. Put it on in the background. It's good background sound, so go check it out. Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. Check it out. Stacey, 14 Yankees pitchers from 2023 will not return in 2024 with some caveats, a little bit of caveats. This, by the way, means there are 25 players that appeared for the Yankees from last season. 54 total players appeared for the Yankees last year. 25 of them, in all likelihood, will not return next year. 46% of the Yankees roster from last season will not be back in 2024. Wild.
That is wild. That's crazy. When I looked at the list of pitchers, I literally gasped. I mean, they're not all huge losses. It's just the volume is so much. There's so many. Yeah. I mean, we knew it because of trades and everything else that's happening, but it's just jarring to see the list in front of your face.
Well, let's go ahead and give the list to the folks at home, Stace. The number one is obviously Michael King. Like, not having Michael King next season when you anticipated him to be a big part of the rotation, that is going to largely be felt, especially at this stage with no other additions to that starting rotation.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert, you're going to ask me, well, who's the biggest impact? It's Michael King. There's no way around it. He's definitely the biggest one.
Yeah. I mean, just the way that he finished 2023, and you're really going like, wow, the Yankees may have really found something here. They really might have. And now you're going, oh, he's wearing different pinstripes now. He is obviously going to be a big part of that Padres rotation. I'm curious how much he holds up through a full season. That was probably the biggest question mark heading into 2024. But there's no denying that he has some serious talent. We saw it out of the bullpen. We saw how it translated to the starting stuff. And those are just innings lost. They're just innings lost, and the Yankees have not found an answer to that. It's still only December. They have time to find answers, but it's tough, dude. There's a lot lost there. And I don't want to mince words of that because, yes, you got Juan Soto out of it, and that's great and awesome. And we've said that 100 times to Sunday, but you still got to pitch. And the Yankees just haven't found an answer for that just yet.
Yep.
Now, like I said, Stace, there are caveats to some of these. Wandy Peralta is one of the guys right now who will not be returning because he doesn't have a contract, will not be with them. He's a free agent right now. But there are rumors. There are rumors that the Yankees are interested, and I still don't think that a reunion is unlikely at this point.
Yeah. I mean, that's been rumored basically. Like we spoke about it before the season even ended, that we thought that maybe they'd bring him back on some sort of deal. I could see that happening. It'd be nice to have that happen. You know, I know he's a good clubhouse guy. The guys love him, and you know, he did well for the Yankees, and he throws with his left arm. So if they could bring him back on a, you know, I don't know, 1 or 2 years, because he's up there in age, right? He's getting older. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all, actually.
Yeah, that would be very clearly a path I think the Yankees would want to take. Again, we have seen that they have expressed interest in that already. So I would not be super shocked, right? Super shocked if that notification came across my phone. Stacey, of course, the two big ones, the two young guns that will not be returning, and these are obviously the youngest guys that won't be returning for next season, Johnny Brito and Randy Vasquez. We talked about them in tandem all season long. It's not that they made the most incredible impact in 2023, but at least Johnny Brito definitely filled the role that you needed. He was the first call pretty much every time you needed somebody. And the Yankees will be looking for that next. And you're thinking maybe it'll be Will Warren, maybe it'll be Clayton Beeter. But there's definitely going to be a hole there that needs to be plugged in 2024. It doesn't matter what they do on the pitching front. There's going to be a time where someone needs to be called because that's happened in every season ever.
Right.
So that's going to happen next year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's the reason why that's a big loss, because Johnny Brito did everything you needed him to do. You know, may not have been great every time, but he was there when you needed him, because that rotation was in tatters for most of the season and they needed him. So yeah, they're going to have to fill that role.
Yeah. Again, it feels like Will Warren's going to slot into there rather naturally. But it's kind of like Brito before, kind of iffy if you don't really know you're going to get out of him at the major league level. You just don't. Warren had some struggles in AAA, so we'll see. He definitely was able to correct a lot of those, but when he's on, and it's awesome, man. Colton Brewer, Stace, one of the other ones. Yes, Colton Brewer will not be returning in 2024. How many times do you remember watching him pitch in 2023? A guy that you definitely remember a little bit more, Albert Abreu, will not be returning in 2024. Of course, the Yankees did not decide to tender him a contract. Remember, he was arbitration eligible, and the Yankees did not tender him a contract. Greg Weissert was part of the Alex Verdugo trade, so Weissert is gone. Another guy that you probably barely remember, Luke Weaver, will not be returning in 2024. Maybe the biggest head scratcher of 2023, not just because of him, because he pitched pretty well, but Keenan Middleton. Keenan Middleton, the big trade deadline acquisition by the Yankees. We're all in. Keenan Middleton for Juan Corella. Don't forget about that deal that sent him to Chicago.
How could I forget that when we were live on YouTube thinking the Yankees weren't going to make a move, and then with like 2 minutes left that they make a move for Keenan Middleton, and you and I were both flummoxed. Like, what?
Like, okay.
Okay.
All right. Great.
Why?
Yeah. That was a big bolstering of the pen. Good luck to you, Keenan. Jimmy Cordero, obviously not returning to the Yankees in 2024. Ryan Weber. I didn't realize this, Stacey, because it had been so long. I didn't even realize that Weber actually made an appearance last season. My brain had put it that he had been out all year, but she basically was.
Basically. But yeah, no, he did.
Yeah, I was when I was recounting all of it, I'm like, oh man, I guess Ryan Weber did pitch like 15 seconds.
Yes.
Which he did. He did. Zach McAllister, speaking of pitching for 15 seconds, will not be returning next season. Matt Bowman will not be returning in 2024. And then the last one, Stacey, which also throws a little caveat on this, Frankie Montas. Right now, will not be a Yankee in 2024, but we have seen some rumor-ish kind of just rumblings, nothing super concrete, but seems like there is maybe some small interest, at least on the Yankees front, to at least chat with Frankie Montas.
I've been saying it all along. I feel like they need to maybe do something like a make good deal because it just was. I feel like he could be a good pitcher because he was a good pitcher before he was injured, and I feel like the Yankees could, it could be one of those low risk, high reward things if they sign him to like a 1 or 2 year deal. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like he could really help, and I feel like they wouldn't have to pay him that much to do it. So,
Yeah. I feel like an incentive heavy
mm,
1 year low buy prove it deal a la Cody Bellinger with a smaller price tag in 2023. I feel like that deal makes a whole bunch of sense for both parties.
yeah.
A guy that you just go, man, if it doesn't work out, oh well, see ya. Thanks for helping out. And, we have something else that can fill that shoe, then great. But if not, you got a guy that, like you said, has major league success in his resume, a guy that you've already invested in. You invested the trade assets, you invested the time in getting him back on the mound last season.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a, you win, I win type of thing where if you pitch well, that's great for us. But it's also great for you because you're on a short deal, a prove it deal, and you could be one of the bigger free agents next offseason. So I feel like you said, Stace, a lot of that makes sense. A lot of it, there seems to be a decent marriage there. This is all on the auspice that Frankie Montas is interested, had
Mhm.
a good time with the Yankees. If it wasn't a good experience, then maybe he doesn't do that type of thing. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Of course, we already said our biggest impact is Michael King. But which one is yours outside of Michael King? Which pitcher do you think you will feel the loss the hardest? Is it Wandy? Is it Brito? Let us know in the comment section here on the YouTube side. We're going to step aside one more time, and it is, like we said, the end of December. So let's go through all of the major moves that the Yankees made in the final month of 2023. That's next. Back here on Locked On Yankees. Stacey, we didn't get a chance to talk about this because you were both sick and you were out of town and there was scheduling stuff. So now we have a chance to talk about this. Jeter Downs claimed off waivers from the Nationals. My eyes here, in all likelihood, this is AAA.
Yeah.
99% AAA depth. Not the first call guy, but a guy to call who has major league time. But I'm fully anticipating seeing him with Scranton Wilkes-Barre next season for the majority of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. I briefly mentioned it in my solo episode because I didn't really know that much about him. I just can't believe that someone is named after Derek Jeter and he's in the Yankee system. Like the fact that someone's named after Derek Jeter just shows you how much time has passed since the heyday of Derek Jeter. That's just crazy to me. Yeah, I'm not well about this. Like I'm just like, what? No, but it's great. I love that his mom named him Jeter. She put her foot down because her Red Sox fan husband kind of didn't want that to happen. She was basically like, I'm naming this baby Jeter. Good for you. But yeah, AAA definitely, because a lot of people were wondering about that, and I'm like, he barely has played in the majors, and when he is in the majors, it's not great. So he's probably going to stay at AAA. And if you see him in the majors, that means something really bad happened to the Yankees infield.
Yes, but a massive step backward.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to take anything from Jeter Downs,
Right.
but just that's the state of the Yankees' depth and strength up the middle. So, yeah, I've kind of ran the same circles as Jeter Downs for a while. Obviously, Downs was one of the big pieces moved in the Mookie Betts trade a million years ago at this point. But man, I mean, you knew it at the time. But man, did the Red Sox get fleeced in that, especially now. I mean, 2 of the 3 guys in that deal now play for the Yankees.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, for us, it's funny. For them, it's not. But
Oh, it's terrible for them. Oh,
yeah.
it's take it from a guy who watched a franchise player go play for a rival. Super fun. It's super fun right now. I love seeing jerseys everywhere with the number 17. It's great. It's not every single corner in this whole freaking state. Anyway, I wanted to kind of clear this up too. Like, where does this put Oswald Peraza? It is interesting because in my mind right now, the spring training battle is Oswald versus Oswaldo for the 26th spot on the roster,
Mm,
knowing that there are 4 outfielders. You got Stanton at the DH in my head, obviously. But you have your outfield spots already locked up with Verdugo, with Grisham, with Judge, and with Soto. So you're going, okay, who's the last guy? And
mm,
it's either Oswald or Oswaldo. And I feel like Oswaldo has the edge because of the multiple positions he can play.
yeah.
Not that they necessarily need outfield help because Trent Grisham offers you more in the outfield than Oswaldo Cabrera does, clearly. And kind of the same bat last season. That's just kind of the nature of it right now. Obviously, you're going to have injuries and stuff like that. So with no injuries, however, where does that leave Oswald Peraza? I mean, I feel like Peraza would play short over Jeter Downs
Mm,
at AAA. I don't know. The only reason I'm saying he would be playing short is how they handled it last season, right? How he wasn't playing third base, because really what he should be doing is playing third base.
right.
I talked to Connor Foley of the Times Tribune on my solo episode last week, Stace. And we were talking about Oswald, and I asked him, I was like, why do they do that? Like, just tell me, like, what did you hear anything about it? And he got the feeling that the whole idea was just like, it's better to put him at short just because of the higher profile, the bigger position, the more range, that kind of thing. Like, it's going to translate to third base. It doesn't really matter. We need him at shortstop. So
Hmm.
that's where the conundrum comes for me, because it feels like right now, opening day tomorrow, it's Downs and Peraza at short next season in AAA.
Yeah. I just don't want them to screw around with Peraza again.
Oh man, maybe I shouldn't tell you then. The rest of the moves here in the month of December, Stacey, of course, we know the big ones. We're not going to go over the big ones. You guys know the Soto stuff. You know the Verdugo stuff. They obviously claimed Oscar Gonzalez from the Cleveland Guardians. This is the new Franchi Cordero on my head, Stace.
Mm, yeah, that was an interesting move there, but yeah, I could see that being that type of move.
A lot of Cleveland, New York right now.
Yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, a lot of Cleveland, New York. Also, my solo episode, I talked about the international free agent signings. This is the Billy McKinney trade for money that they ended up getting Justin Capeon and Yael Zapata, international free agents that they signed literally at the deadline. They had that, what was it, 50,000, 500,000, 50,000? I can't remember how much money it was that they got
Yeah.
for Billy McKinney in my top of my head right now. But that's where the money went, was to these guys. They re-signed Anthony Misevich, by the way, in case you missed that, on a minor league deal, which I feel like is a good deal.
Yeah.
A guy that they could 40-man if they need to and call him up. And then they also signed some other guys, Odainer Mosquera and Dennis Santana, who we were like just trying to get into an episode at some point. We finally are here at the end of December. But Stacey, where would you rank this December? We only have a couple of days left here before the new year, but where are you ranking the moves that the Yankees made here in what feels like what is a real first month of the offseason? I know November is technically, but it feels like the real first month of the offseason is December.
I don't think it was a bad month. The Yamamoto thing, he just wanted to play for the Dodgers. So I can't really fault the Yankees for what happened with him, but everything else um seems fine. I mean, they obviously have more to do, but for a December, there was a lot of stuff happening because usually December is not that month that, at least lately, with the way free agency has been working and the way off seasons have been working, it feels like, there isn't that much stuff happening in December, and it usually happens closer to spring training. I mean, obviously they have more moves to make, but I'm not that disappointed in the December, minus the Yamamoto stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you got Soto.
Yeah.
That was obviously the big
Like,
checklist item.
I feel like because of the Yamamoto stuff, people are downplaying we have Juan Soto for a season. We get to watch him for a season playing in Yankee Stadium and hitting the ball and being in the same lineup as Judge and Glaber. And I'm so excited about it. And I feel like people need to stop downplaying it because that's so cool.
Yeah. I feel like another big move is coming.
Yeah.
I really do. I really feel like in January you might feel might see something,
Yeah.
because they have slight depth. There aren't a ton of free agents that make a whole bunch of sense for the Yankees, which is partially the reason why we haven't been doing our Making the Case series. But I don't know, Stace. I something in my gut is telling me we're going to see something big. I
hope
like
your gut is right.
I feel like it's just a sheer necessity now because you didn't get Yamamoto, and now the spotlight has been shifted back on the other coast, and the Yankees probably don't like how that feels.
No.
We haven't seen anybody say anything about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. No one said a word. And I feel like something's got to give here. I feel like a Corbin Burns, a Dylan Cease, some sort of trade is on the verge. And I feel like the Yankees are going to have to give something up to do that. And I feel like it's going to be an Oswald. And Oswald, add an O or don't, is going to be moving. And that's going to be the big return. Is going to be a Corbin Burns. It's going to be a Shane Bieber. They're having fun with the Goodman. Guardians are on speed dial anyway. Like they already have on their recents list. So I don't know, Stace. I feel it. I feel it. Something has to come. This is not it. They're not going to just keep doing these Dennis Santana signings here moving forward.
So if that's the case, if the Yankees get a really good starting pitcher and Oswald Peraza gets a chance to play and isn't jerked around by an organization, then I will be fine with that. When I meant I didn't want him to be jerked around, I didn't want him to be like AAA, come up, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I meant. I want him to have a chance to play. And if it means that he needs to be traded, then at this point, as much as I like him and want him to succeed, if he's not going to succeed with the Yankees, and I don't want them to do what they did to Florial and keep him around for so long and then finally let him go.
And then it gets you basically nothing back.
Right.
They need to do something. And I think it's coming. Just keep your eyes on your notifications. And join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, because you're going to be one of the first ones to hear about it. If you do that, join that Insiders Club now, 14-day free trial. Check the episode description. Stacey, what's coming up tomorrow?
It's Fan Mail Friday, because we're finally doing it, because we were too sick to do it last week, and now we're soldiering through. So we'll answer your questions.
Yeah, and it's our last one of 2023.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's also, let me double check this. It's our last episode of 2023. Crazy. So that's pretty much it. Right there. Crazy. A full year in the books. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Grano.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.